Hey, what's up, everybody? Bobby here from Wedding Film School. Thank you for joining us. It is Thursday at, well, it's noon for me. It's 1 p.m. for my co-host, Jay. Jay, how's it going?
I was muted, but it's going great. It's going incredible. It looks like
Nobody knows.
We didn't sync up on these shirts, by the way. They're just good taste. We both have good
Are we
taste.
both in green?
Yeah.
I can't see you currently. Oh, yeah. These are like the exact same color, too.
It's kind of embarrassing. It's a little matchy-matchy.
You know, it's the last show of the year. We decided to match for you all.
Very good.
Of course. Excited to be here. Excited for another week. We hope you all had a great Christmas, if you celebrate that, or just a holiday weekend. And then we got New Year's coming up, so two packed weekends. How was your weekend, Jay? How was your last week? Busy family stuff, I imagine. Christmas for you, I know. And
so we did a hotel launch in Boston, the new Raffles property, which is the first North American property for the brand. So we did the first wedding ever there and did some like kind of promotional kind of stuff for that we're working on. But you know, it was a shorter day than most weddings. So in some ways that was actually a lot easier than a wedding.
That can be nice. Nice way to, get something done in the winter, right? And get on maybe a new preferred vendor list and
It's the goal.
network and all that. So sweet. Well, if you have not joined us here on the Wedding Film School live show, a little background on how it works. Typically, we'll chat for a few minutes, whatnot. We're always open to answering your questions. If you have any, throw them in the chat. We're happy to help. And then we're going to live review some wedding films that are submitted by you guys, our community here on YouTube, on Facebook, etc. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to review a different amount of your film. So if you are a member here on YouTube, which means you pay, starts at just $5 a month, helps this channel, helps us do this live show, but also helps us create all the awesome content that we're putting out for you guys, the behind the scenes videos, our podcast on our other channel, all that stuff. You get kind of priority. You also get more of your film reviewed. So if you're a member, you're going to get about 5 minutes of your film reviewed. If you're not a member, we're going to do about 2 minutes. Now, we might break those rules. They're not hard and fast rules. And then afterwards, Jay and I are going to share our thoughts, which again, they're just our opinion. We're coming at you with over 30 years combined in the wedding filmmaking world. But a lot of things that we say are opinions. Some are fact, some are pretty cut and dry, black and white, but a lot are opinions. So we're going to share our thoughts on things that we think you did really well. And then we're going to meet you where you're at and hopefully help you with a few things that we think you could improve on for your next wedding film. So let's see. Without further ado, Jay, you want to jump into the first film?
Sure. So I'm pretty sure we never did this one, Bobby.
All right. Well, if it stands out to me, I'll say.
I watched it. I couldn't recall it. So not all of it, but I did watch a portion of it. But our first wedding film is by, I got to get to the first name. Luncho, last name B. So Luncho.
There we go. And this is, what is this? This is not U.S. based.
Lucho B, I think is what it says.
Lucho B, Faraway Land Weddings.
Yes. Hot summer day. It says there's only a few hours of coverage. So these are always those like interesting. I always debate whether or not we should even review films like this, Bobby, to be honest, because like, is it really a wedding film if it's only a portion of a wedding? But the only reason I do it is I think it's important to say, did you make the most of what you had? And B, I noticed this a lot more overseas. That you have a lot more of these partial wedding coverage packages. And so I don't want to like totally get stuck in my context. So, but I am interested, if you're in chat, how many times are you shooting partial wedding day coverage? And like, do you find it harder to make a film or whatever? I don't know, like I'm pretty strict on like, if I don't get my 8 to 10 hours, I'm not doing it.
Well, I think that's the interesting conversation, and I feel like that sometimes we get pushed that way, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a non-US based wedding. We've had this conversation with some US submitted films as well, but I think it gets into that conversation of like where do you draw the line on like telling the client what they need,
or even like
do you allow your
what,
client to say,
you
"Oh,
can
only,
make"?
yeah, exactly. And how do you educate your client on that? Because if I'm not really one, I think you're the same way, but you know, we're not ones who are probably going to let a client say, "Oh, well, you start at 10 hours of coverage. Oh, well, I only need 3, so let me book you for that." We're going to say, "Nah, I don't think I can create what I want to create."
You know what
I
did find, Bobby? This is my answer to it.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, we had a client who said, "I don't want you to come and get any getting ready," which is not a big deal to me. But I did make sure to have this conversation, which is every film you've watched of ours had that.
Yeah.
And so,
well, see, I think that's the caveat is if you are going to bend and you are going to say, "Okay, well, I'll entertain. Oh, I don't want prep. Oh, I don't want this. Oh, I only want 3 hours, whatever." Then there's the education step of saying, "Well, just so you know, everything you've seen on my website has that. Well, your film will not look like that."
And also we say, you have to be willing to let us off our contract of the delivery time, because like my process is based on having certain assets. That's how I can deliver things at the price that I can deliver them at and do the things that we do. And if you're telling me I'm going to be without 20% of my assets and I still have to make the same length film, that's when if you're telling me like, "Hey,
it bogs you down.
Make whatever film that you can make with the assets I have," that's cool. I don't have an issue. So I don't want to tell the client what they can have or what they must want. But as long as they're going to pay us the same and they're going to expect a slightly different deliverable, I'm good. And I think that's the thing where people get messed up is you always see people, they do a 4-minute, the person's like, "I only want you for 4 hours." And they still try to deliver a 6-minute film.
Yep.
And so let's see if that's what we got here.
And it's filled with like a bunch of stuff that the real question is, if you had 8 hours of coverage, or if you were just going to make the best film possible with your 4 hours of coverage, would all the stuff that's in this film be included? And oftentimes we find that's not the fact. I'm also Max, Ethan, Visionary Weddings. I'm with you guys generally. I also do full day coverage, Max. So, you know, I always look at that for elopements. I think a lot of people want to do elopements. A lot of people will do elopements for less money. I find elopements to be amazing and I love them. I actually find them to oftentimes be more work.
You don't have the same fixed positions.
And you also like, I'm usually an elopement in a cool place. That means I'm out there a day early, I'm traveling, whatever, and that's all fine. But like, I'm usually like, I want to capture the essence of this place, so I'm gonna shoot the day before too, and we might do a day after session. And like a lot of times it just kind of keeps adding, where it ends up being the same amount of time of coverage. It's spread now across 3 days, like et cetera, et cetera. But all that to say, even if somebody was, "Hey, we have an elopement, we only want you for 5 hours," and normally my weddings are, 9, 10, 11 hours, something like that. I'm full day.
I honestly think for most people in the wedding film industry, if you want to be a wedding filmmaker, everybody wants to do elopements, and elopements are the worst business strategy. They are so brutal. Like, you need to find the exact right client who
that is true.
Not only wants to pose 100 times for you and is interesting and looks good on camera and actually knows how to be on camera and comfortable with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because that makes the film good. And if the film's good, the next person will want to buy your product. Like if you shoot 10 of them and 8 of them are awkward people that suck on camera, that destroys your brand. Right? And so not only that, but they need to have money to pay you more per day, or maybe not more per day, but for more time of coverage to create this content for them. Then you could just show up and shoot 8 hours out of a normal wedding and create much more rich content because their family's there and it's a whole, like, there's so much more to work with at another wedding.
It's a very different product But I will say, like, I've had some of my favorite couples in elopements. Like, I don't know. There's a give and take, and there's pros and cons, just like anything. But there's also, I think, you are on much thinner ice with an elopement. One small thing that, I mean, obviously a big thing that goes wrong on any wedding day, like, oh, my camera, both my cards corrupted, whatever. I don't know. That's a huge problem. But like on an elopement, there are a lot of things that are maybe minor in another day or an annoyance in another day that can really tank an elopement.
If the weather goes bad.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like if I'm in a venue in the city and the weather's bad, not a big deal. We'll find some cover. We'll grab some umbrellas. We'll go out for 5 minutes when it's nice. Whatever. It happens.
Because it's only 2 minutes of the film. You don't need like a ton of it and blah, blah, blah. Like the other thing about elopements is like
Banff and whatever. You're like, you can't, like, you wouldn't even know you're there then because you can't even capture it.
The couple is the actual star. Like versus like you can cover it up with a bunch of pretty flowers and a bunch of details and a cute kid walking down. You have so much other content at a normal wedding, traditional wedding.
It's a big safety net.
If you are lucky enough to work with your ideal client all the time when it comes to elopements, great. But I just think like the amount of people that I see trying to do this, I'm like, there isn't enough clients for all of us, guys. Like if you get lucky and out of your 25 weddings you get 5 great elopements, that's great. You can't build a business off of $40,000 of revenue, and that's charging a lot. That, like, to me, if you shoot 5 elopements and you net $40,000 gross revenue out of those elopements, you're charging a ton of money, right?
Yeah, that's
that's not a business.
But it's not enough. Yeah.
That's not a business. But I can tell you this: I can turn on the spigot and I can shoot 100K of revenue of a wedding every Saturday, easily. Like there's so many clients, and like that's how I look at it. When I talk to people and they're like, "You're a sellout," I'm like, "No, I want to be in the arts, man. I just like I love art so much that if I can I will literally do anything I can to not have to get a regular job." And so like that's how I feel. It's like fine. If you're willing to like let it fail and go work at Best Buy if it doesn't work out or some bank or something,
hey, I work at Best Buy.
Me too. Actually, do whatever you want. But I more just like tell people like if you get lucky enough and you get the niche, awesome. But no, it's a niche. That's all. Yeah. That's my only beef is like when people talk about.
I always see it as like supplemental. I can never. I would find it so difficult. We are on such a tangent. I love it. I would find it so difficult. I know there are people who do it. There are people who do it very, very well. And we don't know the in and out of their business operation, but I would find it incredibly hard to only do elopements. And I would even say that many of the people who you think only do destination work don't. That's just what they put out publicly.
I think you can't do it. But anyway, speaking of, this is a short day. It's not an elopement.
Anyway.
It's not an elopement. So back to the film.
Unrelated to what we were talking about.
So this film is a shorter day. It's only 3 minutes. So I think we'll watch the whole thing just to give a good feedback.
Unless I get really bored.
So we're going to evaluate, did they make the most of their time of their film? And honestly, I'm going to be going, would I be willing to shoot this wedding?
I kind of like that. Yeah, I kind of like that discussion we can have after.
So let's do it and watch this film.
Well, we're here today for the marriage of Victoria and Eric as they start a new chapter together. And by your presence,
Vancouver,
you give support to them in the new adventure they're about to begin. Today's a celebration.
Isn't that where you are?
Celebration of love, commitment.
It's a beautiful city.
Friendship and a family, and 2 people.
I've been there once.
Who are really,
it was great.
Really
I had some great coffee.
Dope song.
I did ask ChatGPT what was the secret to a successful marriage.
No,
so
I'm over that.
It did advise that for the groom, whenever you're wrong, admit it. And Eric, whenever you're right, shut up.
Ha 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 ha. My bad, Ethan.
I love how
Maybe I
it's
thought
totally fine to be
visionary,
super sexist towards grooms at every wedding. It's like totally fine. You stupid idiot, man.
Oh, we got our first marital.
Oh, that's a tough first
disagreement.
look
Care
spot.
to elaborate?
That is like that balcony's like 2 feet wide.
I don't think I'm permitted.
Oh no.
And taking your advice to shut up, I will shut up.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's learning. I see this as a
Oof.
great start to a marriage.
Is that a DJ? Is that a DJ who's talking there? Like an MC, or is that like an actual
I
friend
feel
of
like
the
it's
family?
the same lady.
But yeah, but is she a friend of the family or like a DJ? Like she's like
I don't think she's the DJ.
she's running a game or something.
Yeah, I think they maybe asked her to run the game. I've had that happen.
Okay.
Like the DJ or whatever will be like, all right, now we're gonna do this, and then they hand the mic off, and they're the one that asks the questions for the shoe game.
Oh, the shoe game. Honestly,
Yeah.
like
If I could get rid of one thing, like
think
like Genie Wish, snap my fingers, get rid of one thing, shoe game.
I think I'm out of the shoe game. Like I think like I've hit that part
Like
in
your
my
weddings
career.
are just like they're over it.
My weddings are just too like high end. They don't do the
Yeah.
shoe game. Like
I rarely see it,
yes.
but I do see it.
But it's funny, like there's, and I like, obviously I'm not better than anybody. Like
No.
I'm shooting a very normal person wedding on New Year's Eve, but
Make sure you label it when you upload it to YouTube.
Normal
Very
people.
normal person wedding.
I literally
But make
told
sure,
the
like, it needs
bride-
a few emojis too.
I literally
right?
told the bride on the phone though, like, oh, I'm so happy to be shooting a normal wedding. Like
Love it.
it's nice to get to do from time to time.
Yeah.
But like I just don't see the shoe game anymore. But what's funny is like you'll see people who work in certain markets, regions where like certain things are just all the rage. That every time I see them, I'm like, what are they doing there? And everyone's like, oh, that's the shoe game. I'm like, honestly, I don't even know the rules of the shoe game. What is the shoe game?
The rules of the shoe game are it's just really uncomfortable for everybody.
What
That's
do you
the
do?
rules.
You smell each other's shoes, or it's like is
No,
there
you
like,
raise your shoe. You're like, oh, who's the best driver? And then you each have like you have one of your shoe and one of their shoe, and then you're back to back. You raise up which one you think is the best driver, and then everybody laughs, and then the questions all are lame and everybody's uncomfortable. And
oh.
I just like every time I have to film, I'm just like,
You should every time you have to film it, you should
Don't
just
like
only
this.
shoot their bare feet.
visually represent how uncomfortable I am.
And then just put it in there. It's like the shoe game,
That-
remember?
Here's the thing I don't like about it, other than it just is uncomfortable to me, and I think it's kind of cringy and whatever. Is like, it's one of the few things that I feel obligated to film that I, going into it, know I will not use any of it. And yet somehow I still feel like, I don't know, I could see like if they have a reception film in their collection, them being like, well, where's the shoe game? And I'm like,
Oh, you have to shoot it because if they ask you, you can't say I didn't.
exactly.
You can't be like, oh, that dumb thing.
Yeah. Oh, my personal opinion is I dislike that.
Oh, you
so
did
I
that?
made the executive decision
You're
to
a
not film
nerd.
it at your wedding.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. So
Yeah, exactly. But
hold on.
this is the tangent episode of Wedding Film School Live, where we just go on tangents.
Man, this person does not know how to white balance their camera.
Yeah,
To love
this,
Victoria,
yeah.
to respect her, to share your life and dreams, to build with her a home that is a place of
It's.
love.
I will say this
happiness,
though, like
commitment,
it's
and
rough
growth.
and it's all over the
You
place,
promised to be a
but no
companion
one
to
shot
Victoria
I've seen
in all
that
her
is just like,
success,
whoa, that is
her
so
happiness,
raw.
sadness, and
Well, a bunch of them are so blue.
They're all.
This
yeah,
looks
they're all
good
pretty
though.
cool.
All the outdoor stuff is good, but like once they got into the shadow, they didn't re-wipe
Yeah.
it.
Whoa, sound effects.
They were late though. They missed the punctuation point in the song. It's a da na 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 bing.
Married. From today, your friends,
Pretty man.
family, community, and indeed the whole world will know you as co-travelers through life, adventures, husband and wife. Through life, adventures, husband and wife. Eric, you may kiss your bride.
This does not feel like 3 to 4 hours of coverage.
Yeah, I'm like, did I do that? Did I click on the right video? No, it is, because that's Alberta, right? That's definitely Canadian.
It says Vancouver, but
Or
yeah,
Vancouver.
I mean, still, yeah, same thing. Well, not same thing. My
It's definitely
apologies,
the
that's not what I
right
meant.
wedding day, though.
Yep, it is.
Okay,
That's confusing to me, but whatever.
well,
I guess it
okay.
said a few hours of recording. Maybe that's, up
6?
to interpretation. Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I don't think you need much more than 6. I think 6 is usually the minimum I think you can get away with creating a pretty comprehensive video. I don't think you need all the getting ready either. I need like, what would be like the last moment you could show up and feel like you can make a good video?
Honestly, I think this varies by person. I just feel way more comfortable getting there early.
Oh, me
and
too.
Having plenty of time.
But in terms of content, imagine you could get there
Okay,
early.
if I was like,
you
there
just
was a
couldn't shoot.
disaster
You had to
or
just like
something.
stand there. You couldn't go in the room, but you could get your gear set up and you could be on.
Okay, I would like. Sorry, and we're still capturing some prep.
No, what's the latest you could start covering and from a content standpoint and feel like you had enough to make the film you wanted to make?
Oh,
for me, it would be.
I want to shoot details. I want to. I don't know.
I would need to have, I would say 20 minutes before the bride gets in her dress would be like the last I would feel.
I think I could do that. Yep. I could get in there. I could get a couple detail shots. Maybe I fake a makeup thing if there's time, but bride gets in the dress, a couple beauty shots, put the earrings on, whatever, that kind of thing. You can fake the groom wherever if you need to.
I would say like I don't have to have the groom, so I could get away with that. If I had and I don't even love this shot, but it helps you cover stuff. Would be a dress shot, flat lay. If I have a dress shot and a flat lay, and her getting in her dress, I feel like I can create a story. I have enough B-roll.
Yeah, there's like a representation of that time in the day. The one thing that would worry me in that scenario is like, am I getting like venue details? Have I already done that?
I could definitely fit that in the middle of the day. That's the thing. Because I don't really care about the hotel. I don't care about the hotel like she's getting ready in very much.
Formals, there's only so much of that I want.
I don't really shoot the hotel.
Well, yeah. I guess again, it depends on the day though. Like what if it's I don't know if all-inclusive venue is the right word, but like,
That being said, when I watch this film,
with that tangent done,
I don't feel like it felt like they were there for plenty of time. So
I think we either misinterpreted or
successful.
Whatever.
Well, maybe they're just unclear, but
exactly.
I don't look at that and go like, oh wow, clearly that was a huge limitation of yours. That that you didn't have enough time with the couple or enough different content types so I think if that was a concern, I don't think they should be concerned. I think there's a few, honestly, like it didn't look great, so I have a lot of critiques on how it looked and a lot of some of the choices they made with camera op and coverage. But I could tell this person like really has a sense of the music and was trying some stuff. Like I like this little like this moment right here. Like they're gonna do like this.
Yeah.
Do. Now I have a lot of critiques on this shot and shots that they chose to put in there because a lot of them are not shots you should include. But I like their vibe that they were trying to go for, and I felt like they seem like they have a strong sense of musicality, which I think is a big part about wedding filmmaking. And I actually like a couple of these shots, like this shot right here. This is a pretty shot. Like it was well done.
To love.
And even like that first look where I'm like, hey, I don't think you should have done it this way.
Yeah.
But I kind of think they kind of pulled it off. Like, it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, given the restrictions, like, oh.
It was pretty, like, this shot right here is a really smart way to do it. And I think it's apparently they just snuck around or however they got these close-up shots. But, like, I just think, like, a lot of the limitations that they were faced with that day, they handled pretty well. And I would give them a lot of credit for that.
I think that's a good compliment. Like, I'm the same way. I have a lot of issues with the way this was shot and some of the way it looks and stuff like that. But I do think, I don't think time was a hurdle for you. And maybe that in itself is a compliment. Maybe it was a hurdle. Maybe you only had 4 hours, and we can't really tell if that's the case. But also, yeah, I think there were some other hurdles throughout the day that you seem to have, handled decently well. I think that it feels like a complete, wedding. There's a bunch of coverage and whatnot, some story throughout. And I was going to say one other thing. I don't know if I can remember it, though. If I remember it. Your same thing. That, like, little intro. I always love, you've heard me say it before, I'm always going to compliment whether it was perfectly executed or just partially executed. I always love when people are trying something new. I don't know your work, but I do feel like that little intro upbeat section that we kind of replayed was maybe pushing the box a little bit or working outside of the box a little bit for you. And I always want to compliment that because I think trying new things is how you grow as a filmmaker.
Well, and the biggest thing is like when you understand that the first 5 seconds of your video are the most important moments for your viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And you put something
it's interesting.
You put something into that. Like when I watch a filmmaker who doesn't seem to understand the importance of that beginning, it sticks out to me. That it's like, you didn't care about the beginning of this video. It's just like, and hey, there's sometimes where this is the right shot, but I see way too often, like 5 seconds of like trees blowing and you hear birds chirping and you're like, nothing about this shot tells you anything about this film.
Yeah.
And about you as a filmmaker. And so I think they didn't do that. They tried to engage their audience right away.
Well, I would say yes and no, because this is a good transition into the things that I think could be improved. And one of the things you mentioned is while we tried. While we like the maybe editing choice or whatever, I don't think either of us love most of the shot selection for that little intro.
Hate this shot.
Like, I don't actually hate this shot. I think, would I prefer a wider Vancouver or the venue it's at? Sure, I don't think anything specific to the couple is in this, but I don't know, fine, whatever.
I just think this is a throwaway. You got like some business name down there on a sign.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing.
Lame tree, tons of barrel distortion on the lens. No thanks.
And it's not super like visually appealing.
Very mediocre.
And then we have, let's
bad. Okay, horrible. Bad.
Yeah. That's kind of the issue. Is I think you're picking a lot of. Here's the thing also, because I think you're picking a lot of insignificant and low quality shots. And I understand the mindset of, well, these are only on screen for, there's like a third of a second or whatever. Use some of your nicer shots and use them again later for 5 seconds or whatever the full, like that's not a bad thing to do. Like, I don't know, if you're just briefly popping them in, I don't know. Or punch in on them, or do.
It's one thing too when you use
whatever,
like a window shot as like a composite overlay.
Yeah, or something like that. But it's just like those last two shots of that sequence where I think you were like, this one's terrible and this one's bad. It's the two buildings.
They're all bad.
It's not the.
That's bad. That's really bad. That like the shot of him hold his fingers. Like,
this is nothing.
His face looking uncomfortable. This shot right here.
Actually, I think you used the face shot again.
Like
this has random people in it, and it's out of focus and overexposed. But this is where this shot and this shot. What, like, there's no context for what those buildings are, and so that's where it's like
even this
a lot of these shots. I think
it's
it's
not white
a little
balance
more
properly. It's not stable. The couple is not in focus, and they're right. shot on a super wide angle lens, so they're super barrel distorted. It's just like,
it's a little more understandable with this shot for me.
And he makes direct eye contact.
But like, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think like shot selection was something that could really be worked on. And, you know, whether the time limit was there or not, I just felt, Jay, like there was 20% too much of everything. 20% too much prep. And that's, I don't know, maybe a made up number, whatever. But it's like, there's just, yeah, just like too many shots that shouldn't be included are included. Like that heater that we just saw. You're pulling away from a really close up on a heater.
Yeah. I also think this person, my critique, first of all, the mix audio wise is very bad.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, we were talking, but like, you can't understand, like, I'll just play this section. Like,
hard to hear what's being
You can't
said.
understand a thing these people are saying because it's mixed so bad. The audio is like,
And two people who are really, really in love. And
it's like they're just mumbling. And
today's a celebration of love, commitment.
so the bass kick drum is basically occupying the exact same space as this guy's vocals. From a sonic standpoint, you have no separation. You didn't bring the volume down enough, and then the way it was recorded, it didn't. You need to get some high end on an articulation in that guy's voice. You can't hear it. But the biggest beef I have is, honestly, I don't say this as an insult. Just I think it's efficient, and I'm just trying to help you. I don't think this filmmaker has a very strong understanding of how to use their camera, or they don't have a camera that's very high quality, because you see them in a lot of lighting situations, and when it's like a certain lighting situation, they look like a much better shooter. But once they get into like a tough situation, like this is not a great situation, right? It doesn't look great because you're dealing with like these mixed whites and like, I don't know the time that they had. You know, that shot looks pretty good, but then like you'll get in other situations and it's all blown out and it doesn't look that great. And also, oh man, there's so many things about this, and I don't want to beat this person up, but like when you include a moment like this, like to me, you're transitioning into like 3 moments, right? So she's like sitting down, right? Sitting there, looking there, and then closes her eyes and then moves into let me do my lipstick. Right? She's like, smile, 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 no smile, no frown, it's like you're really like isolating these moments and really being intentional with everything that you show throughout the film, and like caring if it's white balanced properly, caring if this person's like there's so many shots in this film, Bobby, where the person started out looking somewhere else and by the end of the frame was making direct eye contact with the camera.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, I think intentionality would be a big thing to focus on, and I think kind of that's an umbrella statement under that would be this is all to me shot almost entirely on a gimbal, almost entirely on a wide lens or a zoom lens that you kept wide. Like when you want a close-up, you move in. And I think I would challenge you to be more intentional with your white balance, be more intentional with your shot selection, be more intentional with your lens choice. There are reasons for a lot of that.
Well, and I would use this moment right here as an example of what you can do when you create the moment you want. Because this is good. This moment, you did a good job doing something and handling something tough. Take that same approach throughout your film and like actually direct.
Because there are pieces or moments throughout the film where we say, yeah, like that was well done. That was a good choice, whatever. So yeah, and then we talked about the color a little bit, and then the only other thing that I would say, and we kind of touched on this through like while watching it, but like, man, I would be cautious. It goes back to intentionality. I would be intentional with which audio I include. I don't care if it's the best friend, the maid of honor, the dad, whatever. If they are just dragging that groom, I want to include it. Like, this is not very positively reflected. Like, it's very like negative towards the groom. I don't know. Like,
I always eschew that those tropes in my films.
I mean, I don't like. I don't pick up on that stuff that much. I think a little bit. Like I see it a lot. Whatever, we all do. But like, I just felt like, yeah, I don't know. Like keeping the like I don't know. Personally, the whole like if you're wrong, say you're sorry. If you're right, shut up or whatever. Like I've heard it at a million.
Well, that's why I don't include it.
So I don't care about it. Yeah, like I'm not going to include it
thoughtful.
anyway.
It's not a real thing that they said, and I think that's what I would say to you is like look for real things. Don't fall into the trap of like this person made a cheap joke. You're supposed to know that it's a cheap joke. You're supposed to know that this is not meaningful. You're supposed to find the meaning in the day. And so look for something that's actually meaningful instead of something that they just literally generated on ChatGPT and admitted.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then I think even if you were like, oh, this is personal, whatever, like to keep that joke going and just kind of keep digging at the groom, I think is a little distasteful.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But, you know, I think the biggest beef I have is just the stuff we mentioned in terms of.
Yeah.
But the good thing is they're not that hard to fix.
Yeah, a lot of those very fixable. And a lot of those, you know, it's like, it's a whole bunch of small stuff that
when you do a good job at some of those hard things that you did succeed at.
We're getting a preview. I'm getting a preview.
You are, only you.
Okay.
When you get to do a good job at a bunch of the things that you did do a good job with, you got the hard parts down, and so kind of just slowing down and focusing on just
it's a great like lean into your strong points.
Mm-hmm. And just give yourself time to do a good job. Don't rush. So, all right, who is our next person? Fate Factory, the scariest name ever for a wedding film company.
Fate Factory, and in October it's a haunted house. All right.
So what?
Boom. All right.
First,
let's see. Thanks for reviewing my film. Thanks for watching this whole thing. We aren't. Sorry.
Yes.
We don't do that. We watch 5 minutes if you're a member. I don't believe you are. So we're watching a 2 minutes of yours. But
so this
we'll
person
skip around.
thinks that their gimbal work is good because apparently we said so. So hopefully it's still good. I actually had a second director. I don't know what that means. Maybe a filmmaker. In terms of being limited. Is this like a Justin Porter thing that I don't know about? Calling filmmakers directors?
I don't know. I've seen that once or twice before. I don't. Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know.
In terms of being limited for this person didn't say anything. They just kept talking about themselves. So, no offense, but I don't know anything about the wedding film beyond.
More angles than last time or whatever. More coverage. Yeah. So director is not they're not a director. They're just a camera op. They're just a second shooter. I think.
I'm just wondering if that's. Anytime that people say stuff like that, I just assume that some YouTuber said it. So. Anyway, I said.
Okay, so they want the first minute, the intro, to be reviewed. So that's what we're gonna focus on.
Okay.
Then you can skip around.
Yeah, we'll see. This is 15 minutes long. Yeah, this person definitely watches Justin Porter.
Yeah, I'm very confused. If there's no way we watched a 15-minute film, there just isn't. And he said this one's shorter.
I don't know. I don't. Here we go. Here goes nothing, but also something. You know, here goes something.
Here we go. Here goes probably more tangents from us.
Was that? Is this the focus assist? Blue?
What?
No, it looked like to me, you know, in like a focus assist, you turn on like manual focus assist, little blue edges. That's what it looked like. Right there. Where is he filming from?
Everywhere. Balcony.
Up there. There he is.
It's a cool church.
I like that, actually. It's interesting.
All right. Should we move on?
Yeah. Where can we? What would be a good? What do you want to see?
I don't know.
I think I'm comfortable just to talk about the beginning. Actually, let's get a little of this because we're seeing people dancing. Oh boy.
Bride. Wait, is that the bride? No. Yes.
That is not the song. If you're gonna,
There's just so much of everything. That's
all right. Let's. There's clearly some cool gimbal moves. I'll give him that. And
let's talk about the intro because that's specifically what he wanted, and I also think that is the
best part of the video.
Yeah, I'll share without watching very much of the rest of the video. I will share some thoughts on it, but
okay.
Again,
so
just thoughts.
My opinion is there's some cool shots, and I liked the way the ring shot. He used the light on the ring shot, and I can always tell what someone's excited about wedding films.
Yep.
And I'm not sure this person is that excited about covering weddings, but they definitely like flying their drone and shooting posed things and shooting like almost like a music video.
Yep.
And I felt like when they were in that moment of inspiration, I felt like they could create some really cool stuff. Like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. You can totally see when they are enjoying what they're doing. You can definitely see when they had control of a situation versus when they didn't. And yeah, there is some cool stuff. Again, talking about that intro section, there's some cool shots. There's some well set up, well executed shots, specifically that ring shot. There is some, interesting upbeat editing to match the song and to just bring a bit of a, stylized intro minute or so to the film. And there are some good shots in that intro too. Some of the drone stuff was cool. The ring shot we mentioned, some of the bridal party stuff, like at the front of the church, which normally I just think like a lot of those get tossed for me, right? I show like a.
I liked how they shot that.
I think it worked. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm not sure I would put them in my
like one in the intro. There was maybe a little more than that,
but I think they were all cool shots.
Yeah.
So
now, also good coverage at the ceremony. Clearly,
ish. I don't love all the choices of just hanging into the ceiling. Maybe they had restrictions, but
yeah, I mean, who knows? I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of angles.
Yeah,
that's,
I found this to be very strange. As a wedding filmmaker who I do a lot of Catholic weddings and or whatever. This seemed Catholic. I'm not sure if it was Catholic, but it was strange to me because it's so long and like feels.
What are you talking about?
The whole film feels so aloof.
Oh,
like,
I mean, yeah.
I'm ducking around it, but regardless, the intro is what I'll focus on. So here's the thing about this intro to me. It is weird because like you think that they would feature a summary of the day, and I think it would be a much more effective piece, but they have a bunch of details which are cool, right? And I'm thinking, oh, this is where they're gonna head with this, right? A bunch of cool details and stuff. And then like at some point in this intro, it just becomes shot after shot after shot of them inside the sanctuary.
Yeah.
And
yeah, which I wouldn't even say like, oh, you have, I don't know, 10 shots of them in the sanctuary. You can't have that. But I mean, probably it's kind of hard to do and make it look good. But why are they all one after the other? That's the question.
I don't
like,
understand the concept.
An intro should summarize. I also like when it's a 16-minute film. We only looked through a very small amount of it, but we did scrub through a little bit. And like, there's a lot of other stuff. There's a full-on dance that I think is by the bride.
Yeah, that's definitely by the bride, but it's like, why?
And there's open dancing. Like, why is none of that in the intro?
I think
why is there very little couple shots in the intro outside of them at the front of the?
Well, I was scrubbing through and I was like, I can't even find.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah,
hardly
right
any
there.
couple portraits.
Why isn't that in the intro? Those were nice looking shots.
It's just like this, like it's basically just like standard tripod shots of a couple for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I really think like you gotta.
We got off topic. We were talking about the intro, but we worked our way.
The reason why I'm talking about this stuff is I'm watching the way you covered the event, and it's why the intro is weak.
It's such a shift.
Look at this right here. Look at the way he covered a dance.
Well, it's opposite sides first of all.
Also,
breaking the 180 rule.
That should freaking be handheld.
Yeah.
Or moving.
And like move
around. Like match the energy of the dance. Instead, we have just a basic tripod looking shot, and it's not.
Which you can have that too.
That's
like
fine.
I've done like like Indian weddings. There's choreographed dances. I have 2 or 3 tripods.
You definitely should
shots.
have tripods.
Yeah.
But for your highlight film, you should have a camera that's matching the energy. And I think, like, you know what I'll say as a positive to this filmmaker? The thing that you love doing, actually do it. Do the thing that you like doing. You're not like the way you covered that event to me doesn't match your inspiration.
Yeah, your inspiration is your intro. That's clearly what you like doing, and the rest of the film seems like, and this is like sounds harsh, and I don't like mean it that way, but it seems like you're just like disinterested and like
or you just don't have confidence,
which is totally fine.
You don't have
confidence.
Show
me some of this in the intro too.
Yeah, nice. I don't know, like.
And why are they all right after each other? You just like you lost the impact of these shots because you put them all right next to each other, and you could have used some of those in the intro.
Well, that's what I think is the weakness of the storytelling.
Well, I think there isn't storytelling.
There lacks intentionality with the storytelling, really? And instead of including at the beginning like a full summary, it's kind of like, and here's a bunch of like posed shots of a group of people in a room. And I don't really know. Maybe I don't know the concept, and maybe I just don't get it. But like, this is cool looking. This right here is really pretty. Sweet. Like, there's a lot of stuff like this that I'm like watching the film. I'm like, this is cool looking. I do think entirely too much group photos throughout the whole film. But, that could just be a function of having to make a 15-minute video. In terms of the intro, you should have more of these moments so that way it feels more like holistic. And you can maybe create an Instagram teaser out of that intro or something where you're doing a whole summary. And then you can get into, I don't know how you make a 15-minute film out of this day. That's very interesting. So I don't blame you if you had to make a 15-minute film. I would encourage you to
offer it then.
Yes, I would encourage you to make this a 7-minute film. This is like 2 times too long because it's burying all your good stuff.
Yep. Nobody, the couple, maybe their parents, whatever, will watch. Potential clients won't watch as much.
Well, you had to make a really hard choice of what to include, and I think you made the wrong one. But like the front of your front intro doesn't allow your filmmaking to shine, and I think that's the point of those intros. So I would say rework on it and try to make it reflect you better.
Yeah. I want to officially walk back when I said there is no story, because that's not true. But I guess what I would say is the story that you put out there is the story that was given to you. It wasn't anything you really created, in my opinion. You just kind of put everything in full coverage.
I mean, I don't know why you would choose to tell a story of this couple went to a place and did group portraits.
Yeah.
I don't know why that would be the story.
So intro-wise, when we talk about that, a couple things. One, the I didn't mind the lighting in the church, the group shots, and there's a couple shots of just the couple. I liked the lighting that you used for the groom. I think there were 2 shots. I think the third one was overexposed, but not the end of the world. Well, I don't know, not ideal, but man, that lighting, the dress shots and the bride like looking at the dress or holding it or touching it or whatever she's doing, and the bride's makeup, like those are so underexposed and so yellow.
I think the whole film is underexposed.
It is, yeah. I would probably say that too. I think it works in some moments, or I could see it as like a creative decision in some moments.
I mean, you could just do that in post, but
yeah, true. The other thing that I would say is just for the intro, I think that you are very clearly good at shooting concepts that you come up with and concepts that you have complete control over. And normally, the intro looks like it feels commercial. It feels very polished right away. The first, like those detail shots, right? And some other areas.
There's like shades of a Fire and Ice kind of approach.
Yeah. But normally, I feel like, and maybe this is just my thought for this, or maybe I'm in a bad mood or whatever, but like normally my thought would say you should really lean into what you're good at. You should really lean into, doing XYZ because you're good at that. So in this scenario, my common response would be you should really lean into these staged setup shots. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. I still think you should. I think they are where you shine. But I would actually give you the opposite advice for this, which is if you want to shoot weddings, you need to learn to handle scenarios where you don't have control better, in my opinion.
I would
agree. Like that lighting with the dress and the bride, you gotta either fix it, move it somewhere better, right? Or put a light in there, so however you want to fix it, or you need to not use it, and certainly not use it in the intro. So it's just some decision making, I think, in my opinion.
Well, even just like shooting every single thing from a balcony on both sides of your angles, and
that one I won't get on somebody just because I know restrictions could play a role there.
Yeah, but I think you could probably still put a tripod on the ground though. Like you just can't move around. I
had a wedding where I couldn't recently.
Yeah. Anyway,
brutal. That was like my only one though ever.
But I would say like in general, this is a person who has some talent, and I agree they should.
100%.
They should lean into their talent, but at the very least, for that intro, include better shots.
Yeah, include some of that other stuff we saw. It looks really nice.
If it's I'm not going to get into whether or not a 15-minute video of this wedding day could ever be good, in my opinion, because I don't know if it could be in a way that I would enjoy. But there's definitely no doubt in my mind that if this person went and actually picked their best stuff and created a much more robust intro instead of like kind of like weirdly moving from getting ready to just suddenly settling on. Remember that time you had group portraits? Yeah. And it just was like group portraits for the whole rest of it, and then the videos, and then the intro's over.
Like, and then it's
like
ceremony.
Why did you choose that as like the signature moment? I don't believe it is. I'd like you got to include some of that dance, her dancing. You got to include people on the dance floor. You got to include your portraits. There's a bunch of details of the like ceremony. I think a lot of people like. I'm so big into the first minute of your film. I really don't care about the rest of the film close to as much. The rest of the film, it's way more about like just make the couple happy.
Yeah.
That beginning, that's about you and about like your marketing. And so the couple will be happy too, but it's like, I think you should have kept that in mind a little more. And I think it'd be worth reworking because I think there's good stuff in the film that you could include that would make that a much stronger intro.
Yeah, I also think I'm just to like tag on to what I was kind of saying before. This person clearly is capable of taking control, right? Of saying, hey, I need you, like, let's do this, or I'm going to put you in this light or whatever. And I think that needs to be like, yes, I think you need to work on shooting the scenarios where you don't have as much control. But I also think maybe even like finding that in between level. Like you can have your super stage stuff, but I think you need to be willing to be comfortable inserting yourself, in your opinion, at least just somewhat, like 50%, to say, look, I don't care, do your thing, do your makeup, but can we put you over here by this window?
Well, it's very stunning to me how very produced like a ring shot is, and I see this a lot with ring shot people. And I know you're a ring shot person, but like a lot of people, like they spend all this time getting this ring shot down, right? And then you see the way that they shoot the toast, and you're like, you literally couldn't have put less work into that.
Yeah.
Why?
It's like, even it out. Like,
yes.
I think the problem is you can't have these highly produced, highly staged, whether it's with people or details or whatever, highly set up shots juxtaposed against these shots where you were just like, coverage, there they are, here's the camera.
It sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, it's too,
exactly.
Like, yeah.
That dance, watching that dance, and like it was like a solid minute of the video right over someone's shoulder, not moving at all. And I'm like, this is how you chose to shoot this dance? It doesn't match the energy at all. Like, why are we maybe one shot, but like at least like a post zoom? Something to give it some movement and energy. It's like, so I would say shoot everything the way that you shoot. Like, give everything the energy that you give that ring shot all day, and the film will be much better. So let's look at our next film.
Cool. We got one more coming from Cinemarvel. Christian Velez. This couple just want to have fun at their wedding. Lots of funny, emotional, and unique moments. Officiant was incredible and super funny. Must see the bloopers at the end, especially when the groom finishes reading his vows. Well, we'll see if we make it there.
Bloopers are not a thing that I typically enjoy in wedding films, so we'll see. I actually hate bloopers in wedding films. It is the opposite of the vibe that I would ever want to go for. But we'll see if you can change my mind. How about that?
I think that there are things that in normal weddings would be like bloopers, right? Quote unquote. But I think that there are people out there who find a way to connect with the right couples and connect with them in the right way, where some of those bloopers can actually be part of the film.
I like humor in wedding films, but to me, a blooper reel is like you make the wedding film and then you do like, and you have like the Benny Hill music playing and people acting zany and like
what was that crazy wedding where they did like Fruit Ninja? Was that Max Smith's wedding?
I don't remember, but that was
the
a cool
samurai swords or whatever.
Yes, that to me is not like that's just funny.
Yeah. And it's woven into the film. It's representative of who that couple was. So it's
that
not
is
like
actually
this,
probably
separate,
you nailed it. That probably is my biggest beef with it, is that the filmmaker typically does this one film one way, and then they are like, and here's your humorous part of your personality, and you put it in its own little box.
Exactly.
And it's like, no, that's who this
work
person
that
is.
into the film if that's who they are.
Yeah, work it in. Maybe they did it. Great job though. I haven't even seen the film, so let's watch.
We're already ripping on it.
We're in a mood today.
It's the last one of the year. Was there audio to?
She said like woo or something. We missed them saying woo for 1 second.
I want to get through the first dance, and then I want to party.
Whoa. Interesting. Is this a very famous song?
I don't know. I've never heard it.
What song does this sound like? Somebody help me in comment.
So now we're good. We're proper. Hi, honey. Would you like some tea?
I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, that's the end.
Yeah, like if this was an intro or what.
Too long.
We have come here this afternoon not just for a ceremony, but for a celebration. We're here to celebrate that two people met and they fell in love And they would like to tell you, their family and their friends, they want you to know that they love each other so much that they want to spend the rest of their lives taking care of each other and supporting each other and being there for each other. There's nothing greater in the world than the partnership.
Okay. Tell me if I'm just me. Is it just me? Or is that entirely too much talking from that guy?
I think it's too much talking because I don't think he's saying that much. There's not that much like tonal inflection. It's a very like
generic wedding
word choice. There's nothing that personal or interesting, and then also combined with a very like monotone.
He just literally said, "Weddings are good. These people would like to do it, and now they're here doing the wedding. Do you like the fact that they're doing?" So I'm not trying to mock it because there's nothing wrong with what he said.
Yeah, it's just
it's interesting to me when
it's
I
not
watch
dry.
it.
It's not drawing me in.
When I watch it, I'm like, how come it is that sticks out to me so much that this should not be in the film as this long? It's interesting. Like immediately when I'm hearing it, I'm like, I wouldn't include this.
Nash Hall. Thank you. That is exactly what I was thinking of. It sounds like Hit Me With Your Best Shot. This must be just a little knockoff of something close to it. Also, maybe we need to take a vote in our Facebook group of, do we need a section every week? It's a little 30-second segment. We can play a little bumper intro for it. And it's Jay's section of, is it just me?
Well,
I think we need that.
Sometimes
is it just me? Or
sometimes I watch stuff and I'm like, I realize like I'm hypercritical about certain things that bother me as an artist. Like certain things I'm like, I'm like going like if I was editing this, I would tell my guys like, cut this out. I don't want this. Like it's too boring. He didn't say anything. It's just a boring wedding intro. Cut it out. Wait for him to say something personal. Like, and some people like,
well, to be fair,
a
we
lot
don't
of
always
people
know what you have to work
Well, then
with,
I don't put it in.
Exactly.
Like, but a lot of people seem to put long sections of priests. And my experience of 12 years of wedding filmmaking is oftentimes these people don't even know this man. It's like the first time. There are literally times I always ask, try to get to know who this person is, because I find out half the time that he's a paid guy who just showed up and did it. And then you watch someone's wedding film and they're putting in like, out of a 7-minute film, 2 minutes of this stranger talking. And
sometimes they're not very like aligned with the couple either.
No, it's like super like, religious, and these people are like
it exactly, and they aren't, or like sometimes I've had like those hired, I don't know what their like background is or where they get the
JPs
certification or whatever, and they're like very all about like the cosmos, and I'm like I don't really get that vibe with this couple, but whatever.
Yeah, it's just like when you're watching it, it's wrong. It doesn't feel, and this just feels like too much. And also, he really set it up for me that he was going to be hysterical, and I have not laughed once. So let's.
Well, that's for the bloopers.
No, the officiant.
Oh, yeah.
He said he was hysterical.
Yeah. We're getting there. I see more later.
I'm going to skip forward. That looks nice, though.
I know connection. I knew quickly we discovered a different level of friendship that you were someone I never wanted to be without.
Oh, it's like a greenhouse. That's cool.
I know together there's no obstacle that we can't overcome. You, Alexis.
Well, and even like, I'm listening to these vows. I don't know if they're the best vows in the world or whatever, but it's much better content to me than that guy talking.
Yeah.
You have personal vows. You have plenty of content.
Made me realize how beautiful love is. You make me laugh. You make me cry. You make me crazy. Most of all, you make me happy. Without you, there's no me. Today starts a chapter in my favorite book.
Oh, I never thought at the back of the aisle.
I'd stand at Walter getting
That's a curveball.
Was that you? Did you say that? Hold on.
I said he met her at the back of the aisle. Oh no, we're at the beginning.
Sorry, I heard.
Always going to put you first, like I'm sure that he already does.
Love that.
And you are so lucky to be able to.
Last video that we watched, last review where I was like, put more in. This foreground, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Do something interesting. With the more mundane a moment is, the more you have an opportunity to set yourself apart.
Call my best friend. Dibs, your husband.
Nice shot on the couple.
It's almost surreal. I'm giving this speech on your wedding day, this very moment.
I like this ramp up.
You know, I'm grateful life gave me you as my sister, but I'm so thankful that you gave me Mike as a brother. Mike, you are the perfect man for my sister, and there's no doubt.
Let's dig into this thing coming up.
I'll clock myself. And I got the exact time that you both shared your first kiss as husband and wife. It was 6:35.
That's cute.
Your love is like hard medicine. There's nothing better
Wait,
than you.
what?
This is what I wanted you to see.
Hard medicine. There's nothing better than you. And then it explodes.
Jay, why would you do this?
Ladies and gentlemen, this couple have come here before you, their family, their friends, and their honored bridal party. And they've
That was just
dedicated
in,
themselves
like, that
to
just
each other in the partnership.
was in there.
You can't do that.
Yeah, that's a no for me. I mean, I'm all about like trying new things. I think.
I want to see this because this looks interesting to me.
Oh. Okay, so this is a room flip. Reception's in there as well.
Yeah, yeah. This is good. I like the way they chose to shoot it.
A lot of energy here. Yeah.
What the? All right, kind of lost the energy there. Yeah, keep that edit moving. But I like that low shot of. I love it when people choose to actually do a low shot for that first dance and show the ceiling off. And I think they did a good job with that. I want to get to the final dance. Do they even have a?
You're at bloopers here. This looks like a blooper transition.
Okay, let's look at the bloopers and then we'll call it a day. All right, here we go. It's freaking Vimeo, dude. I love Vimeo, but have you noticed that the player gets broken sometimes?
Yeah.
It just won't play.
I don't watch too much on Vimeo.
You're missing out, my friend. The quality of the optics. If you can get it to play, second to none.
You remember when Vimeo allowed 4K and YouTube didn't?
Uh-huh. Yeah, remember when Vimeo allowed clean embeds and YouTube didn't? They'll like that. As a web designer, we won't use YouTube on people's websites though. So,
fair.
This video broke.
Well, maybe don't use Vimeo either.
I'm not going to use Vimeo now. Maybe I'll.
All right. Well, funny stuff and bloopers is what we missed.
Hopefully it plays while. There it is.
Oh, here we go.
I will not walk away until I see these bloopers because they.
Okay. Thank.
They were.
Oh no! What is this? Fake snow or something?
It's more than a cry, some frozen emotion, the head shall be stopped. Gonna go
Without you, there's no me. Today starts a chapter in my favorite book. I promise to provide the best future I can.
No.
I'm good.
No, you can't.
I vow to hold these promises close to my heart for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I think this is stuff you can give them if that's like the,
That
the way
never
they are,
happens.
whatever. I wouldn't put this
not
on
my
film.
nose. That didn't happen either. Yeah. Thank you. I can do it.
All right. All right, some things that I loved. I think there were some very good looking shots throughout. I think we pointed some of them out. Some we, probably didn't say anything on, but there was some well lit, a lot of nice outdoor stuff, and some of the indoor stuff as well. Love the foreground on your speeches shot. Really nice looking. It looked like it changed at one point. I don't know if you were in a second camera or not. Nice shot on the couple as well during speeches. Gosh, there was something else I was gonna say.
I honestly.
I said I like that kind of ramp up here and there. Sometimes worked for me. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a double-edged sword. So there's a negative to it, but I will say this. I like that they tried so hard to put the couple's personality in this film. And I think that's really smart. And at the end of the day, what it's all about as in wedding filmmaking is making people feel represented by the films that you make.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was effective. I think like there's things I don't like about the choices, but I do think the couple probably loved it, minus maybe the snot. I'm not sure they will actually like the snot, but I think that, and I also think there was this was logistically like a kind of a lot going on with this wedding. It seemed like they were like, it was nice. And I feel like that was reflected. Like the way that you chose to cover this room particularly was effective. I like the angles you chose for like the set moments. I mean, the lighting and the white balance throughout is very good. And the use of light is very good. Like I didn't watch the film a lot and do the typical thing I do where I'm like, why did you put them there? Right?
Yeah.
Some of them, but in general, it's like you put them in good light. You use good light. And this is
also
much more than I can say for a lot of people's filmmaking. Like you did a really good job in that way.
Also, Max makes a good point. He says there's a lot of tripod shots. Now, I don't know if he meant it as a positive or negative or just an observation, but that is something we don't see a lot too. Like in the intro, we saw a lot more movement and stuff, but throughout the film, there's not a lot. It is a lot of just static tripod, maybe monopod,
Nice,
something like
good
that. It's
composition,
just framed,
shallow depth of field.
Yeah.
Nice looking.
Framed well, lit well, color balanced well, and just kind of letting things happen in frame. So it's always refreshing to see that.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the over the top, somewhat. I don't want to I'm trying to think of a diplomatic way to say in poor taste, but I felt like there was a lot that was in poor taste throughout the film, whether it be the very, very iMovie looking, cheap looking
transition thing, matte
film effect, stop motion thing, the booger hanging out of his nose, some of the like effects used. I think it didn't feel refined, and it didn't like, as much as I think this couple is fun, I think this film would feel better to me if it was a little toned down on trying so hard to be like zany and silly and different. Like, I think you should have taken a few spots and picked them and given their personality, but I do think it should have like been, it shouldn't feel silly. This isn't silly to me. Look at the like level of effort they put into this wedding. Like, I don't think I should watch the film and be like, this film is silly. Even though like they said they want to have fun. I know couples say that. The couple I'm shooting on Sunday says they want to have fun.
And they will have fun.
And they will have fun.
That doesn't mean that their wedding film has to be this like zany.
It doesn't look zany,
whatever.
like, right?
Yeah.
Like when you watch the film, did you think like, look at this zany wedding?
You know what I would say? If you want to have fun at your wedding and you want to get married in a freaking roller rink or whatever, then I'm going to make you a zany wedding film. If you're getting married at like a beautiful estate and you're in a black tux,
yes,
like there's a limit to that.
There's a limit. And I think you crossed the limit. And I also think some of it just wouldn't look good no matter what. If you are going to do zany, this is what I'll say. Max Smith is in chat. And Max knows that line. And it's hard. It's a very fine line between fun and I just think there's no place for zany in weddings. You can have fun, but once you get into like the cheesiness, the silliness, the like, you're kind of like taking this very transcendent moment, this big thing that's very meaningful, and you don't want to seem like you're cheapening it. What you're making is not content. Even if the personality of the couple's fun, you don't want it to look cheap. And I think like that's my biggest beef, because apart like the way you actually cover events, it's really good. You know what you're doing. And and so like just like don't get outside of yourself and like move
don't
into
overthink it.
Don't
try new
overthink
stuff,
it.
get creative. We like that, but there's like to me, this, what we're seeing right now, this would be something that like 15-second, whatever, I don't even know what you would call it. That would be something where it's like, finish the film, take a week working on something else, come back to this and watch it again. I just, something like that is hard for me to understand how it like
slipped through the cracks.
How it kind of passed.
How did you feel about the booger dripping out of the guy's nose?
Here's what I'll say on that. Look, I kind of said it when we were there. I don't know. Maybe this couple, I can totally see couples loving like, oh, remember when that happened? That is so funny. Don't and put it at the end of this film though. Make it something separate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like I would never want another couple to see that.
Exactly. To a potential couple, it could very easily be like, oh, he likes to kind of like show off the worst and like make fun of his couple.
Oh, so like when you watch this film, you just think boogers, and then he took his boogers and rubbed it on the groom's head.
Yeah, that was gross.
It's gross.
But again, like if they thought it was hilarious, again, like put it in a private film.
Yeah.
Put it as its own thing.
I mean, I'm assuming you're giving them the ceremony so they can watch it in the ceremony.
Put it in that or whatever.
This is the biggest thing for me. The function of the highlight film is also, you want to show the good moments, but you also want to be able to show it to your next couple who wants to get married at this venue. And you know
what else I want to see? I want to see a freaking 16 millimeter. We said this last week too. Give me that wide gimbal push-in shot of that beautiful greenhouse that they're getting married in, and or / is set up for the reception. I didn't see that, and I think that is a pretty cool spot, and I want to see that.
I would agree.
Also, Max, exactly what I was going to say. I don't mind the tripod shots, but the tripod shots, when combined with some of the more, what I would say is probably the photographer setup photo shots, give me a little movement, keyframe me a little bit or something. Like, give me something, because they're sitting there like holding a hand, frozen, looking at each other with the car behind them, and you're also on a tripod, and I'm like, is this a photo?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Some of them were photos, but they were just posing. Well, they were posing for photos, and it was
which like it happens, but just like give me a little, if you're short on content, whatever, give me a little push in post or something.
I don't think this person was short on content because it looks like their moments.
No, I think it was super well covered.
Yeah, they did a good job covering it, and they're good shooters, and like they handled even like. This is a good filmmaker. They tried to do something different. So it sounds like I'm bagging on them and mocking them. I'm really not trying to. I just don't want you to think like you submitted the film for a reason because there were some things in it that you were unsure about. And I think personally, you should trust your gut on this and don't push it too hard. Keep it classy. Keep it classy. That's what I would say. Is like when in doubt, keep it classy. That's how to have a long career in this field.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with classy.
Very few people want to be shown on their wedding day having boogers drip out of their nose and then rubbed on their head.
But if you find that,
you find that niche, you want to attract your ideal.
We talked
client.
about elopements. Let's talk about that. Shoot,
ideal clients. My ideal client wants to, and like clearly this is a fun couple, by the way, and I think they probably love the film, and you did a good job. So, but it's just I think you just kind of crossed that line a little bit a couple times. So
sweet. Well, that is all we got for you today. On your way out, we would love for you to help us out by hitting that thumbs up button. Consider becoming a member. Starts at just $5 a month. Gets you a bunch of perks.
Here's what I want to do too, Bobby.
All right.
We got something coming up in February. We're talking about it, but we got a little retreat we're planning. And I don't have all the details set. Probably next week we'll have a little release. But I'd love it if you're watching this to head over and join our group on Facebook, Wedding Film School. That's going to be the best place. But also if you sign up for our mailing list on our website, we are going to be sending everyone an alert next week with maybe an offer. But it's going to be very limited, like up to 25 tickets in Boston. So if you're interested in getting together with other wedding filmmakers, it's going to be focused on talking about business and, of course, creative clarity. And that's what we're calling the retreat is clarity. And we want it to be primarily designed at people who are established in their careers. Maybe not like, we're not talking like only luxury filmmakers or only this or only that. But like we want it to be a space for if you're looking for a place to talk to other people who are going through what you're going through and have vulnerability and talk about your business and talk about what's next for you. Head on over and just make sure you're on that mailing list. That's going to be a guaranteed way. But I think I think I have something pretty cool planned, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with some of you guys in February. And I might even add a bonus day on the end, because we're like 30 minutes out of the city, for people who want to come and spend a day at the Wedding Film School studio, and we can do another level of investment if someone's interested in that. So we got a bunch of stuff coming up. We also, I think we can announce this because there's only 20 people watching this. We have a new channel we're launching, Bobby.
This is true.
This is true. So if you're new to wedding filmmaking, it's going to be exclusively for people like that, and we're going to be calling it Wedding Film 101. And we're going to be trying to kind of rework the Wedding Film School universe so that we're better meeting our audience's expectations. And so Wedding Film School will still be around, and it's going to be primarily gear and the live stream and, of course, BTS content. And then we're going to move a lot of tutorial content to Wedding Film 101. And so we're excited about that as well.
And then we'll still have, of course, the podcast channel for Wedding Film School show. Yeah, so lots of fun stuff, lots of big stuff, lots of cool stuff coming. So keep an eye out for that. I am announcing now, live on air to Jay, that I will not be here next week.
Nice.
So there might be a live stream, there might not. But we'll figure that out. And thank you all for joining. Hit that like button on your way out, and we will maybe see you next week. I won't.
We love you all.
Yes, thank you. Bye. Goodbye.
All right.
Cool.
Okay, so in terms of that,